I want to reconnect the systems to the original soul architecture, okay? Because that is going to allow the stabilization of identity and restoration for the clarity of yourself. And it's also going to allow us to hook into that etheric template that's 1 inch all the way around our body. We got so many different bodies, but that is the etheric body, the body double, the blueprint. That's what carries all the instructions that makes us us. So we're going to connect the soul into that blueprint because we also carry the epigenetics of our soul. Where are those found? They're found in the crystalline core of the earth, the etheric.
Welcome to Cosmic Conversations, hosted through Conscious Awakening Network. I'm Patricia Walls, and I'm honored to be your host. Cosmic Conversations airs every Tuesday, where we share intimate conversations with visionaries, teachers, healers, artists, and forward-thinking souls who are actively shaping this new earth. Conscious Awakening Network is a transformational multimedia platform devoted to accelerating spiritual evolution, activating your highest potential, and expanding global consciousness. We do this through summits, webinars, and exclusive programming. Conscious Awakening Network, also known as CAN, brings together a powerful collection of guides and wisdom keepers supporting multidimensional awakening and embodied truth. And as I said before we started recording, tonight we're honored to have the founder of Conscious Awakening Network, Sheila Seppi. Sheila is a multidimensional teacher, healer, soul exchange walk-in from the omnistream of divine consciousness. Also a respected speaker at international conferences, whose mission is to assist humanity through the planetary ascension process. Her platforms, trainings, and courses in her, or through her, all of that, she weaves together celestial codes, ley line activations, and holographic healing systems to help others reclaim their divine blueprint and align with their highest soul mission. More information can be found about Sheila on her websites, and I put those links here for all of you. Again, please copy those off. So I am so excited to share Sheila with you because she's also just one of my favorite beings on the planet. So let me see here. Welcome, Sheila. Hi there.
Hey, how are you, Patricia?
I'm great. I am great.
Wonderful, wonderful. I guess you can hear Willow in the background.
I
So,
can hear Willow.
yeah, for those of you who, started out with me on Cosmic Conversations, Willow was just like 1 pound, 9 ounces. And now he's like 7 pounds of furry fury. So,
And he's a mama's boy, too.
he is a mama's boy, absolutely. So thank you so much for inviting me, Patricia. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the phenomenal job that you're doing. I really, really am so grateful to you.
I'm enjoying it. I am
All
enjoying
right.
it. So what have you got for us today? Something new and
Well,
exciting?
well, I always have a little bit of stuff percolating here and there. So, what I want to do is talk a little bit about the ascension. And the reason I want to talk about the ascension is, well, number one, we talk a lot about the ascension when we are working with the soul reconnection technique, and that was a technique that came to me by the Andromedans, the Angelics, and the Arcturians, and they taught me about the ley lines of the body, sacred geometry, our place in the universe, where we fit in, how these ley lines are connected to the all of everything. They showed me all the holographic grids of the body, and we talk about all of those things in trainings. And actually, I've got one coming up, which I did want to mention in May. So if people are interested in being a practitioner or interested for their own edification, this is a certification program. So people can then be certified to use this technique. But more importantly than that, it gets all this information out. And one of the reasons that I was excited to, even talk about that just a little bit is when it was brought to me, I'm like, why are you bringing this to me? What's so important about getting this out? And one of the things that they shared is there are so many phenomenal, great healing modalities out on the planet right now. But as the vibrational frequency has changed, humanity has changed, because what happens is we are inundated by all those plasmatic frequencies that are on the planet. They begin to affect change in our own cellular structure, and therefore our bodies are not responding the same way to healing techniques as they did like even 5 years ago. And so with the soul reconnection technique, it's adaptable to the energies of ascension. And as I talk about ascension to people, they're always like, well, what exactly is ascension? One person tells me one thing and one person tells me another. But, I always take it back to my collectives and talk to them about it. And, what many people call ascension has been so misunderstood. And even I misunderstood it when I first even started talking about it, because what I was shown was how the earth itself, like this, began to kind of, split apart. Well, when I saw the splitting apart, I thought that literally meant that the earth was going to split apart, not that there was going to be a division of consciousness that would be so palatable that everyone could even experience that viscerally. So what some people are talking about ascension is outside of you. It's like something woo-woo, something mystical, something that we're trying to achieve. But from the Living Light Archives perspective and the ODC's perspective, ascension really is not something that you go towards. It's really something that you already have, something that's happening to you already, and even on that cellular level, as I just mentioned. So ascension, in my opinion, is this process where your system begins to reorganize all the way back to its original design. So like your body, your field, your nervous system, especially the nervous system, which is undergoing so much stress these days, and even the identity that we have, all are recalibrating to hold more coherence, more awareness, more truth. So what most people don't realize is that the symptoms that people are experiencing right now are not really problems, but they're signals. And I mention the symptoms because every day when I work with people, I can guarantee you they're going to start talking about some of the symptoms, the aches, the pain, the ringing in the ears, the pressure in the head, you name it. And they start talking about it. And a little bit later on, I'm going to talk about the top 10 ascension symptoms and what that means, what's actually going on in the body as we experience these symptoms. But I just wanted to bring that forward because, ascension really isn't about leaving the body. It's about fully inhabiting within it. It's dropping into the highest essence that we can be while we're yet having this human experience, because it's allowing the body to learn to interpret the higher frequencies, and the field begins to release the distortions. The nervous system starts to recalibrate, and even our identity starts to reorganize. So when this happens, we go through like the expansion, the overload. A lot of people are in the overload right now. They're expanding, they're bringing in these downloads, but then it's overload because it gets stuck up in these higher fields, up in these higher ley lines. So what we've learned is that by anchoring them, bringing them down, locking them into the physical form, into the cellular structure, into the legs, the feet, into the earth, into the core of the earth, we begin to release, and then we can start to stabilize. So, most people kind of feel like they're getting stuck in the overload and in the release all the time. And they think that something is wrong, but nothing's really wrong. It's just our system in the process of reorganizing itself. Long answer, short question. Uh-oh. I
Yeah,
think
I
there you
muted
go.
myself. Yeah, I muted myself so I wouldn't interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay.
Uh, so what is one simple practice that people can do to help with all of that, to help with, these symptoms that we're being bombarded, other than awareness, awareness that yes, going to the doctor is a good thing, making sure that there's not something major going on with you is a good thing. But what would you suggest that people can do just to stay in balance every day?
Dropping into coherence. I practice that every single day of my life. And so dropping into coherence is as well. Actually, let's just do a coherence exercise. So
Okay.
everybody just close your eyes. It won't take but just a couple seconds. And I want you to pay attention to how your body feels right now. Okay. Then I want you to take a breath to the count of 4 in through the nose, pause to the count of 3, exhale to the count of 4, pause to the count of 3, and just keep that rhythmic breathing. Breathe in to the count of 4, pause to the count of 3, exhale to the count of 4, pause to the count of 3, and as you're doing that, begin to move the energy from the head down into the heart. And just notice how that feels. Now, this is a practice that I do every time that I have one of my Monday night groups where we have a topic. We work on that topic. We work to clear everything. On Thursdays, I have an Ascension support group where people get together. It is a true support group for like 30 minutes. We talk about the energy of the week. We talk about homeopathic remedies that can support us through it, relax our nervous systems. And when you breathe in and out of your nose, that's a practice I always teach people that literally begins to drop you into parasympathetic state. Now, a lot of people like to breathe in through their nose and force that air out. When you do that, you're in a clearing state. But when you breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, it begins to drop you into a space of rest and relaxation. When you take those thoughts from the head and begin to move them down from the heart into the heart, then you develop that heart-mind coherence. And so staying in the place of the heart, staying in real time at any given point is one of the most important things that people can do in order to keep themselves grounded, to keep themselves steady, and to get out of that fight or flight, because our nervous systems are, as I said earlier, constantly changing. I mean, every second it's like we're moving through these dimensional frequencies. We're moving higher, we're moving lower. And the trick is to get to the point that we can stay in coherence and expand our dimensional capacity. Because when we can expand that capacity and lock into that capacity, then we're raising our vibrational frequency on a consistent level. And when enough people are raising their vibration to where they get to the 5th dimensional frequency and it's locked into place, that's when everyone is going to begin to notice that huge shift. Now, changes are happening now. They're all around us. It is undeniable. Systems are breaking down. People are shifting and changing. Relationships are falling apart. New relationships are coming together. Businesses are going out. New businesses are coming in. And the businesses and relationships that are coming in are always of that higher frequency. They always have that new dimensional perspective already intact. Otherwise, they're going to fail. because we are no longer just in this 3D, third dimensional, third density reality. We're moving up. And if we want to stay in alignment, we have to stay in coherence.
So, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Where do you see people bypassing their body in their spiritual development? Because you teach, you teach spiritual development classes, you teach healing classes, and the people that come to these classes, of course, most people who come to you for courses are already on a spiritual path. But where do you see people bypassing their body? Because I find that a lot of people take courses. It's a personal thing. They come, their mindset is, I'm going to take this course so that I can help others. But that is really their higher consciousness tricking them into healing, right? Because they really do take these courses to heal themselves first. So where do you see people bypassing their body in their spiritual development?
I see it every day. Every day.
I mean, but how does it look for you?
Well, what's happening is there are so many downloads that are coming in, and people aren't anchoring them. So they start to feel like there's something wrong. They're at, they're not in a place of ease. It's like, oh, if I just learn this course, then I can da 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 da. Oh, if I just learn how to meditate longer, then da 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 da. Well, the reason for that is they're having all these downloads, but it's getting stuck up here. Now, if you know the chakra system, you know that from the heart chakra everywhere up, this is all your higher dimensional chakras. From the heart down, those are your earth chakras. Everybody's stuck here in the heart up. But they have to remember that embodiment is the key. You have to anchor everything. So when people come to these courses and they start to learn, one of the first things most people are teaching people these days, how to relax the nervous system and how to ground. Those are the two main things that I see that people are lacking even in their day-to-day. And you're right. A lot of times people are drawn to a course because they think, oh, this is going to help my family. This is going to help my friends. I can, bolster my clientele, etc. When in fact, it has nothing to do with that and everything to do with their own personal calling in order to heal. So we have to heal. The physical body is the vessel. The physical body, the frequency of the cells have their own vibrational signature, and each one vibrates. And so if we are looking to raise the vibration of our soul, we have to have a vessel that's going to be able to hold it. Otherwise, you have these competing frequencies, and a lot of times what will happen is the physical body will begin to break down. And you would think it would be the opposite. Oh, well, I've got all this high soul energy. But no, because it begins to fry the biology and the neurology of the body. So that's kind of the way I see it. And, for me, a lot of people have come to me talking about what they're feeling. I'm having all these symptoms, and in a few minutes I'll see what are the questions that you've got, but in a few minutes I want to talk to people about those top symptoms, and I want to do some clearing and balancing, because we can clear and we can balance every single day of our life, and we walk out the door and something's going to happen that either is going to evoke higher vibration, lock us into where we are, or cause us to lower our vibration. Now, I shouldn't say cause us, but we have the propensity because we have these fallback mechanisms built into our system. And so, we're going to fall into the natural habit of whatever it is. The phone rings, we have that kind of a response. Thus, one of the reasons everybody has that upper breathing, and I try to get them into that 4-3 breath coherence for the breath expansion. Doing yoga breaths is one of the best things too that you can participate in to bring yourself back in to coherence. But if we don't learn how to live and navigate in our physical form, there is no way that we're going to be able to hold all the higher frequencies, because all of the energy that we have is going to go for healing instead of soul expansion. And years ago, probably 20 years now, my collective told me people cannot drop into the truth of who they are as a soul when they're in pain. Period. End of story. That can be physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So just think about it. If you're achy, if you all of a sudden are having all this fatigue and you can't even get out of bed, the last thing you're doing is laying there thinking, man, how can I expand my soul? Now, a lot of us will start to implement the practices that we've learned over time, through soul expansion. But the majority of us are just going to lay there and moan and groan, because that's what we do as humans, When we stub our toe, we're not saying, wow, I'm so grateful that I stubbed my toe. What is that lesson? We're like, ow. So we have these fallbacks as a human.
Yeah, when I work with people, we share these tools with people, and clearing is one of the main things that I do with people. And I'm really careful to tell them this is not a one and done.
Oh yeah.
Right. We are constantly, energy never stops moving. If it stops
Right.
moving, it's dead. Okay. And so we're constantly moving, receiving, putting out,
Absolutely.
vibrating and contracting. And so, and we're always coming into contact with all of these different variations of frequencies, and so, yeah, you're right. I mean, we are not, everything is never going to be perfect.
Right.
We're meant to fluctuate. We're meant to flow
Right.
and to move with energies. And so thank you
Right.
for
Yeah.
bringing this, this knowledge to us. And you
Well,
were going to talk about the three symptoms, no, the top 10 ascension symptoms. I
yeah.
didn't want to get past that.
Yes, I definitely will. One of the things I think that we always have to be mindful about is, and this is coming straight from the ODC and my collective with the Yani, they have talked about and talked about and talked about how we have to drop 100% into the human form in able to be able to ascend. We have to ascend in order to ascend. And as we ascend, as we move more and more into that which we already are, we begin to have experiences, and that is what life is all about. I can tell you from the other side, there is no good, there is no bad, there just is. And that was one of the teachings that my Hopi teacher brought to me when I first started studying with her years ago. And the other thing is, there's no judgment, there's no blame. Everything just is. No judgment, no blame. And when we look at that, how many people are living in this state of self-judgment? And it's that
Yeah.
self-judgment that really starts to cause us to shrink in our light, causes us to shrink in our brightness. And everyone is here for the experience. On the other side, there's no judgment of that experience. It's an experience for the soul. Humans give that a name. This experience is good. This experience is bad. Then we take what we incorporate or think of as bad and we start to internalize it. And that is some of the things that's starting to come up during the ascension. We develop patterns and we develop ways of coping that are no longer what we need to be using, because everything is changing. And again, I have to throw out that soul reconnection technique because it teaches us about the ley lines. It teaches us how to dive deep into these structures to pull out the fear, to pull out the trauma. I was even shown the trauma body. One of the gifts that I have is when I look at people, work with them, I see their holographic grids. I see their bodies. I see the ley lines. I see all of the various grids that make them them. I see the trauma bodies. I can pull the distortions. I can look and say, oh yeah, when you were 6 years old, I can pull all that information out for them. And in soul reconnection technique, that's what exactly that I teach people to do. That's important. It's important to go into those bodies to pull that trauma out and for people to begin to realize they can release it because it's only a lesson. So if I don't get anything else across tonight, remembering our experiences are not to be judged. They're neither good nor bad. They just are. And we are here to have this human experience as a divine aspect of the source energy. So everything is going back to source. I teach all of the Ascension, all of, the crystalline, everything from the I ams, the first movement, and we talk about all those in the soul reconnection technique. And it's important to know these things as we move through the Ascension, because when these symptoms start to come up, then we know exactly where to go in the ley lines to pull this stuff out. But tonight, what I want to do is talk to you about these Ascension symptoms, because a lot of people are having them, but they think there's something wrong. Guess what? There's nothing wrong. You are just reorganizing within your nervous system, within your cellular structure. So the first one that most people talk to me about is fatigue. Oh my gosh, I've got this sudden drop of energy. I have extreme tiredness and it just comes out of nowhere. I eat good. I even sleep good, which is a rarity. That's also an Ascension symptom we'll talk about. But I just can't seem to get over this fatigue. I lay on the couch. So what's happening is the body is actually processing this increase of energy input, and it's reorganizing everything all the way down to the cellular level. So the system is truly overwhelmed, and it temporarily shuts down to recalibrate. All right. So what I'm going to do right now as I go through each of these, I'm going to offer a clearing for that and an activation, because what I want to do is to pull from the SRT ley lines the information about the structural pathways of the energy flow, because that's what really allows the body to process that input without the overload. So instead of crashing, the system becomes efficient and regulated. I'm going to do that now. Instead of going through all the ley lines and pulling everything, I'm going to do that with the transmissions from the ODC and all of the light language codes that come out. And each of these codes, as I'm speaking it, it could have 100 billion things that are shifting inside the body. We just don't know. But what I want you to do is to drop into that coherent state again by taking the breaths in through the nose to the count of 4. Holding to the count of 3, exhaling to the count of 4, pausing to the count of 3. Just continue to breathe that way. Itna menena nuku patatari shena patatari nu manahata tatari kina luku papatatari shena tatarea wa shana katatari shenopa. So a lot of you are having some adrenal fatigue right now, so we're going to work on the adrenals. Shana mana na nuku patakomari shena la patakata nuku patadubari shena matatatari etanolu ramana nu to the bahamana katatari shakatatari ina nu mahana katatari patu kupa erishetataria patu ma inana katatatari shena kata. The kidneys are also affected through the fear frequency. Shetadu dupahamani in aliena unduku patatatari kiena raba numane na liena neduku patu dupahariama erishena tupataka patari shena. Some of you may have been experiencing urinary tract infections, because that's what's coming up right now. To the bahamana katatari tuma urupatu to the bahana katatari irishena du bahamana katatari wa shana hatatupa. Okay, so that is what's going to begin to help with that fatigue and that sudden drop of energy. Now, a lot of people say, when you do this, how do you know that I'm getting anything out of it? Well, remember I told you that when I look at someone, like I can see the gridded system. When I work with groups, the ODC pulls a thread literally from everyone in the audience, everyone that will watch this in the future. They're weaving together, because remember, there is no time-space continuum. Everything is happening right now. The I ams are forming. The dragons are spreading out, all the codes, etc., etc., etc. But right now, what we're doing is we're working to get these threads that the ODC is bringing to me, and they're spinning together like a holographic form, and it's that holographic form that I'm working on. So if you have the adrenal fatigue, it goes immediately to you. Or if you're watching this on the replay, it goes immediately to you. The adrenals actually sit on top of the kidneys, and so I think that's why they were showing the kidneys. But there's also a lot of fear. Fear, overwhelm, that begins to temporarily shut down our system, and that's where the fatigue comes from. Now, the next one that people talk about is anxiety without a clear cause. One of the things they say, I feel restless. I've got this tightness in the chest. I don't know where it's coming from. My nervous system is overactive. So what the body is actually saying is, hey, this nervous system, it's getting all these high frequency signals, but it does not even begin to know how to interpret them, doesn't know what to do with them. So what happens? Defaults to fear. That's what sets off the anxiety. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to correct that signal interpretation system, okay? And this way it allows the body to reorganize the incoming energies as safe and not threatening. So we're just going to reprogram that frequency. So take another breath in and out. If you've got water, go ahead and take a breath. Anytime we work with the nervous system, it's really good to drink the water, take these breaths. Okay? So here we go. Naman na nalu no kupatataria shana lamara hana kudu bahamani liene shana kudu bahamani tatalia kanu kupata kaparisha erina naman unu du bahana maliena kete de bahana maliena kudu patataria kata runo no mahana ketatari patuku patakapamana tatalia shana lututupa erina nana mahana ketataria patutu paria eria shana nana mahana ketatataru patuko patamania tatatari shana kupa eria shana nana 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 patatupa mania tata erikina lumana hana ketata kapatu manata erishena luuno mahana ketata bikina luuno batata taria kena patatari ritira manu unu kopata kopata malahana ketata rishina luumbakata erishena naha erisheto pahana manu utubani and watni shana ketataria pa. If you'll reach around and put your hand on your coccyx, nanamana no kopata, they're completing a circuit to the bahamane no kopata kopata tarisha na luwa manu unu kopata kaparia shana lahana tatatari pitu baria erina ramaha erawa shupatumana tarikinawa. Okay, you can just relax that. Take another deep breath in, grab your water bottle, take a drink. The number 3 symptom that people talk about are the emotional waves, that unpredictable feeling that kind of washes over them. They wake up. They're so happy. They're in a great mood. And then bam, all of a sudden they're sad, or they're angry, or they're overwhelmed. This emotional intensity comes even without a trigger. This is a severe symptom for a lot of people. It can even be debilitating, because what's happening is all of those emotions that we have stuffed, all those emotional patterns that we've tried to forget, they're all surfacing at one time and begging to be recognized, released, and reorganized. When we don't allow ourselves to experience the emotions at the fullest, when we don't release them, they get stored. And guess what? Once an emotion reaches the physical body, it becomes a chemical response in the brain. And when it's a chemical response, our body's flooded. How many times have you had such emotional overwhelm that you didn't even know whether to turn left or right? It was so intense. Well, guess what? Sometimes our kidneys just can't process all of that. And sometimes the liver is overwhelmed and the gallbladder is overwhelmed. So it stores those chemicals in the body. When we have these sudden bursts of emotions, it's because those patterns are resurfacing. They're wanting to be acknowledged. Now, I will say that doesn't mean we have to drop into it. You know, we can release it, experience it, feel it, and just let it go. It's like, yes, I'm really sad and I'm going to feel sad for a minute. I don't know why I'm sad, but I am so grateful because I know now it's coming up to be released. I know now I can release it and let it go. I remember the situation. Let's not carry that around. Release that too. Be glad that that situation came up because now you can name it and claim it and release it. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to clear out those emotional imprints at the first level, core cause, preventing that repeating, resurfacing, and allowing the true release instead of this cycling that's going on. So remember, if you have things that start coming up, do not drop into them. Acknowledge them, release them, and let them go. Patumana neririni tutahena manu kupatotarishi tataremana eritino lupa numana katari patudubahana anela erishitapuuma erina mahana eritudubaha mana katarishi tudubaha katatareawa erishi namana no lu kupatapari ititipata tarimana lu kupatatare isha nahana pataku rimanu ukupatata eritini nama anarakatare ishena upanu manakatare patudo lushu kupamanaha erishi wa shu patuma eritine mahana katarea paduru manakatarea eriena uma eshana anawaka esh. Now, one of the other symptoms that are coming up is brain fog. Take a drink. Make sure you're doing that 4-3 breath because brain fog actually gives us that lack of clarity. Okay, we can become disassociated. We become slow in our thinking. We have too many thoughts swirling around. We get forgetful. We forget how to focus. Okay, and the reality of it is the mental field is actually so overloaded while the system reorganizes that it starts to shut down. And the brain starts trying to reintegrate all of these new patterns. So what we're going to do right now is I want to develop this conduit of energy between the brain, the body, and your field that's going to allow for the clear processing and this stable mental functioning so we can remain in coherence. All right? So take a couple breaths in, feel yourself, clear the mind, drop back in to that coherent state. Itabat nemana lu nu kupatatari. Ma shana tataturu patu mana katatari panu mana tatarea patu tubaria maka. Eri shano lu umaka. Eri tina maha katatari pitu dubamana katataresha. Ru mana no kupatatari shita tatarepa. Eri mina nu ukupatapa amana la nea kataria. Washa katatupa. E shanana patu dubari shenara kataria. Urashana munu tu dubahama katatari pa. Shupaduma anatatari chitupa eriti nema analuku patatari shena ariti patuma arikina ratatare irishina luu manakatatare patu rahnama anakataruba. Yes, okay. There was something coming up about blood sugar. So somebody watching this has a little bit of issue with blood sugar. Yes, that can be causing the brain fog, that difficulty focusing. So that's something you need to get checked out. That's a little bit different than what I'm talking about here. Patuma anatatari sheta dopaham manakatatari tu pari imanale anakatu patu dupa isheta era shumana ukatariapa na. Now, one of the other symptoms that people talk about is feeling disconnected. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, like you're not yourself. It's kind of like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know what my soul purpose is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. And we have this lack of confusion because we literally lose our direction because our internal compass is going crazy. So what do? As a human species, we always detach. That is our go-to safety mechanism. So what this means is as these old identity structures are dissolving, we are realigning to these higher forms, but we haven't yet stabilized. So we detach. Okay? So what I want to do right now is I want to reconnect to the system. I want to reconnect the systems to the original soul architecture, okay? Because that is going to allow the stabilization of identity and restoration for the clarity of yourself. And it's also going to allow us to hook into that etheric template that's 1 inch all the way around our body. We got so many different bodies, but that is the etheric body, the body double, the blueprint. That's what carries all the instructions that makes us us. So we're going to connect the soul into that blueprint because we also carry the epigenetics of our soul. Where are those found? They're found in the crystalline core of the earth, the etheric, not that they're not all etheric, but the etheric body of the iron core, okay? So in that crystalline structure are all of the soul codes that we all are carrying right now, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to reconnect in to that beautiful crystalline structure around the iron core. We're going to stabilize. We're going to pull up your original soul codes architecture. We're going to breathe them up into the body, into the heart, and push them out into the etheric blueprint where it's picked up by your holographic grid, and then everything begins to realign as it is intended at birth. Ina mana no tipa newa shana tata ru ma na tatari tuma iekwa era tuma tataripa ushupatu mai anana katatari tanumaha rihu shinah eraha umani ne na manu tuba ne wai na tatari tuma tatatari kuwa erishana tu pa isha tatari shatatu mai anaketataru wa shana patatodoru tudu batari kiena eri petupa eri nanamana u kupatatari shana kataru ranamana katatari pinalu tududara pakanarisha. So from the bottoms of your feet, I want you to begin to send out conduits of energy going down through the earth, all the way through the dirt, the bedrock, all the way into the water tributaries, through the lakes, through the open caverns, through the inner earth structures, all the way down to the iron core. And right before you get to the iron core, you're going to stop. And you're going to feel beneath you the crystalline structure, that etheric body in the shape of a Merkaba all the way around the beautiful iron core. So these conduits of energy are going to begin to go down and literally enter into this crystalline structure and lock into place. So with your next inhalation, begin to pull up your original soul codes. Nothing. You cannot pull up anything that is not yours because you have a very unique vibration that is recognized by the crystalline core. Big breaths in, pull that energy up into the heart. Moving that out 1 inch from the heart, 1 inch all the way around the body. Move that frequency out where it begins to lock into place inside your template. And from the exterior, it's going to move another conduit of energy from the outside into the heart and into the space behind the heart, where the soul is anchored. And with your inhalation and exhalation, it's going to begin to fill up the entirety of your etheric body. Mana no lu no kupata de bahana mane le neta do bakuna ma anatatari shiapatu rata de batkamari in barakumari ishinala and kapato to the pa eriki de bahamani and a lu no kupata kapari ini oshani le amane no kupata kopa erite de bahana la no to kupata duru warashana patukupata taripa. Okay, big breath in and out. Start to notice how your body's feeling. Should be feeling nice and warm and tingly all over. So the next thing that people talk about are those sleep disturbances. Well, of course, we're having sleep disturbances. Not only are we going through this transition, so is Gaia. Gaia is having these hiccups in her Schumann resonance, the vibrational frequency that she puts out. And she has an electromagnetic shield. We have an electromagnetic shield. And we have this symbiotic relationship. So when Gaia has a spike, we have a spike. Okay? In order for us to sleep, we have to drop into a deep REM sleep. Our brains, our bodies need to be vibrating at a particular frequency. Well, what happens in the middle of the night if we get a spike and we're not grounded? All that energy is going to wake us up. We wake up at night. We can't fall asleep. We can't stay asleep. We have the craziest dreams, or we don't have any dreams at all. People think that when they don't have dreams, they're not dreaming. Yes, you do. It's just that the vibrational frequency is so high, and we do not have a lexicon equipped within our physical brains to be able to bring back all of the information that we are participating in. All the scenery. We don't have that within our brain, and therefore we can't produce it. All right. And so sometimes the brain will compensate by having all these crazy dreams. So what's actually happening is while you're sleeping, the system is processing, it's reorganizing. But right now what we're going to do is I want to work to reduce that system overload, all that fragmentation, so that your body can really sleep good tonight. I want to reconnect you into those Schumann resonance so that we begin to get back in that natural rhythm. And if you will practice this 4-3 breath while you're trying to fall asleep, you'll fall asleep quicker, faster, and stay asleep longer because you're going to sleep in a coherency. Okay? So now let's go ahead, another big breath in. We're going to start to work to reorganize the system overloads that happen while we sleep. So we're going to go out into the astral. I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning first because we do have a little bit of black goo in there. There's a couple rips and tears. So when we do and work with the soul reconnection technique, there is a vibrational frequency with each of our bodies. So like when you work in the astral body, you'll have a particular frequency that you can actually go into to recalibrate the entirety of that astral body. Now, the seventh symptom that people have are those aches and pains that come out of absolutely nowhere. I've had people say, oh my gosh, my neck, my shoulders, my back, my hips, my legs, and I've never had problems before. First, make sure you're drinking your water, stay good and hydrated. Next, make sure that your electrolytes are good and balanced because you don't want to drink so much water that you're flushing out all of your memories. And if those things are intact, then what you need to do is realize these may be ascension symptoms. So what's happening is the energy is trying to move through these areas. It's starting to clear out blockages. It's starting to release the chemicals. Where there's resistance, there's pain. Where there's stored patterning, there will be pain. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to clear out all those structural blocks so that the energy can start to move more freely. Now, as this energy moves freely, feel free to grab a hold of that. And if you've got a particular pain, pull that energy right in there. Or if you want to think about that particular area while we work, when this energy comes out, it'll go straight into those areas. So I'll let you do it either way. But now go ahead and take a big breath in and out again. Dropping back into the coherence. Inapatera manila no kupata kamaliation na para hinamano no kupata kamaliation na betatari ma eri mano no kupata kamaliation na beta kamaliation no lutudupa eri kinamana ne no dudupa hanati titi pa katari rashaka dupa uruku na namandi kupata kamaliation no kupata kamari no lunu mata tati pe no kupata kadarisha eri mano no pa hane pitika leta tata eri shina la wawa yena patatari shina lududupa ra patamani tudupa eri na no mahana keta da bahana liana kaduduba erishita da baha erikina luuno to go wawaya nama anarti to dupa eremano uno kupaku go bahana matatatari ish washana patu kupatu kupara manali ina tatatari patudupa erishana luuno kupata bari shana mare kadukupa eritina mahana ketata baudu kupa wushuna na bahari shana pata erikina lahana mano utu du bahamana ketata ripi na luuno kupa arishana ketata ba no luukupa. Also working on that etheric fascia because it's loose in some areas. Shana bata kumari, shana bata kumari to dubahana medical bata kumari to gubata kumari to the barrier, erishina bata kumari, shana tata dubaha, eriti the mahana could do the bahana katatati, rimano uno to the bahama nekita the bahari, ishinala amana could do the banumana ina katati at a caparo, right around the carpals and the thumb for somebody to the bahamane and a lutnoko patatari, to the bahamane and a lutnoko patatari peduku, rishinana mahana keta de baha erikina luuno de bahama na tedikina ne watni shena luuno pa erina na ma no utuko patakapati ishena wara era manu utu bahana patakatali ini shakatu de ba eriti de bahana tatukupa ere patuku shu patadama anaria tatukupa. Big breath in and out. Just let that anchor for a moment. All right, the 8th area that people are experiencing symptoms in is the heightened sensitivity to people, places, and spaces. Have you started noticing how easy you become overwhelmed in a crowd, in the grocery store, in Walmart? Have you noticed how strong you're beginning to react to other people's energies? It's like, oh, I just can't be around that person. I don't know why, but I really like them, but I just can't do it. I just can't do it. The reason is your field is open and receptive, but we don't have enough boundaries in place to have a strong containment field. So what we're going to do right now is to strengthen those energetic structures and bring in that container of sovereignty. We do that with that 12D light. I'm also going to bring in the rainbow light, because with the rainbow light, and you guys can use this as a netting, you can throw the rainbow light over you as a protective field, because anything coming to you will see the rainbow light. It will take from the rainbow light what it needs and move on, because everything is about healing. We have these things drawn to us because they seek consciousness and light and healing. So just go ahead and give it to them. But with this container, what we're doing is we're creating this container of light. Now we're putting the rainbow light in it, not for others to draw from, because it will be covered in a platinum shield, but we're putting that rainbow light for you so that you can draw from that those things that you need when you start to feel overwhelmed. Padamanana no tukopata daritina mahana tatakutata rutu de bahama takatatari chinulupa rutuba erisha nana marakada de bahana katata de rishi tataria wama no kutu rapane mana ne tatatari kenalu wa shana nu patatari tina munduku patatari kina lahana katatari wa shana patuku patu ruma na tatata Era manatu tu bahakatata. Eritina manu to the bahana katatare. Washu, washu. Tu bahumana katatari. Shianatataria. Arena manu upa to the bahama na katatare to the gubamana and the latnet to the baharisha. Eritu duba manatatari. Wa shana luuku patariata. Paria manu uluku patataripi. Ra nama anokotora. Big breath in and out. Now, notice how the air around you begins to feel. All right, this ninth symptom that people talk to me about are the loops, the repeating patterns, the cycles that keep coming back and coming back and coming back. You know, these are the same situations, only different players, different faces, different spaces, but it's all the same. The outcome is always the same. People feel stuck. They feel desperate. And despite all of their efforts, they cannot break this cycle. So what the body is trying to tell them, what their field is trying to tell them, that there's this underlying pattern that has not been corrected. Because once it is, you'll never experience that cycle again, ever. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to come back around, because I guarantee you it'll come back around. But you now have different tools. So you have the opportunity to respond differently to it. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to work at that origin point of the pattern. We're going to work to dissolve it so that it no longer creates outwardly in that external world, and that you don't send it out. Because around us, on the exterior, the very exterior of our auric field, we have a crystalline shield. That crystalline shield is made up of crystalline structures, obviously, but at the tips of these structures are like these little bitty mirrors that go in and out, in and out, in and out. Send, receive, send, receive. You're receiving those higher dimensional frequencies, you're sending out frequencies. So what frequency are you sending? Aha, that's the question. But we're going to go in and we're going to work with those, because you want to make sure what you're sending out is the vibration that you want to call back in. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to release all of these patterns that are looping so that we can move through and send out new vibrational frequencies to create that reality that we want. Now I want to mention before we go, a lot of people talk to me, I want manifestation, I need a house, I need a car, I want this, I want that. Guess what? It's already here. It is already in your field, guaranteed. If it weren't, you would not be thinking about it. So why don't you have it? Because you've not expanded into it. Once you learn how to expand your field and lock it in place, whatever you want is going to come your way. You know, whether it's new home, new relationship, new job, new this, new that, it's going to happen. If you want better relationships, better sleep, better health, it's going to happen. Why? Because it's already there. How could it not be? You carry the divine source spark inside of you. Source doesn't lack. Source is everywhere. We're connected to that. That's what the ley lines are. They're these crystalline fiber structures that connect us to the whole of everything, and they run right through us. So there's nothing that's impossible, including breaking these patterns. So take another deep breath in and out. And just set your mind that you're going to release that. You're going to move through whatever it is, because you can. You've got that ability. You've had it all along. So right now what we're going to do is back to that origin point, release that pattern, unweave it out of this field so it just dissipates and you can move forward. Banana na mana na lutu bahana mandika na loku bare te bari na na mana kono bata da mani na lu no ko bata kamari shina pata kada lutu pa erite de bahamani na lutu bata kamari shina pata tu pa erite na maharaka e rap du kumari mediki shina tu de bari shina bata kumari te de bati no lutu du pa erina na ma ne no ni ba de mana na ko du pa erisheta pa no mani riena te ka pero rashana pata kumari shina bahana mani no tu pa erishina na no mani ina bata te do rashana bata kumari shina kata 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 ka rupa tu kumari shina mani no unu pari shina bata kabari shina lutu pa eri patu kuma arisha erima uru pa Shumaneri te na amakataru. Washana patatarishia toturu. So when I look at these patterns, they kind of look like little mandalas. And so once I get that right string, I just pull it, it's like zzz, and it starts to unwind. So kind of notice how your body's feeling. I know it was a pattern, but it's connected to a lot of different things, okay? Now this last pattern, this last symptom that people are talking about is the pressure in the head, behind the third eyes, that ringing in the ears that drive us all crazy. Well, first off, let me tell you, that ringing in the ears is not going to get any better, because that's the vibrational frequency of your soul. As it gets higher and higher, you're going to continue to hear it louder and louder, faster and faster. You can slow it down, and we're going to do that. But you can also drop into it, because a lot of times you're going to find it's actually your soul group talking to you, your team, your guides. Ask them what they want. Tell them to tone it down, slow it down a little bit so you can pull the information from it. When you've got that pressure in the head, in the third eye, understand what you are doing is activating that third eye. Maybe there's a little crystalline stuck in there, okay? Maybe we've been using fluoride toothpaste, who knows? But maybe we've been drinking water that has chlorine in it. Who knows, all right? But what we're going to do is we're going to feel it as it begins to break apart. Now, have you ever heard that popping in your head? That is the decalcification of the pineal gland. All right. So when you hear that, give it a big woohoo and not, oh my God, I'm going to have to run to the doctor. I just heard something break inside my brain. No, it's not breaking, but it is breaking apart. It's that calcification, because it is literally calcified in there. So you're going to feel like a tightness in the forehead or the crown, or that, like I said, that pressure behind the eyes. A lot of people will even feel the pulsing, and they're like, oh my God, my sinuses hurt. My teeth hurt so bad they're pulsing. If you've ever had this sensation, know what's happening is you are actually increasing your perception, and you're activating those upper chakra centers without being fully grounded. So when you hear that, when you feel that, try to move that with your breath. Move that down through the body, down into the core of the earth, and just let the earth take care of that for you, okay? But right now, what we're going to do is work in those upper and lower systems. We want to integrate those so that you have a pressure valve, so to speak, that will relieve the pressure and start to, stabilize all the perceptions and all that information that's coming in, because you really don't want to lose it. Tiri shina patari, wai shatatari, tutu pa manari isha, na mana unu patari na hana tatariku, rushu mana hatatari na wa, mana unu pari, teneketari shina luumatata, eri hanana hanera do, manana rapatakupa, eriti de tapahana, patatukupatu mani shatata, eritinu, na manatu, arapatukumana, rishina da tatarikupa, urumana antipatatikina luunukupatatari, warshu patukumani ena la netaba erikina la no kupata tatarishi na lu mana katata no mana katata dira durupatu kupata mani enesha urumana ena la no utukopatu patatari irishi tatata pahana manaku rapatu kupata patata tikimene la no kupatu da ma ne elo no tupa erina na ma na okutu de pahana kata erishi na lu matatatari patu ora ti da bana mano utu paharia ke shaktu running all that energy now up and down the spine. Mana na luno kopata da barisha na tatatari rama no upata baria manatuba erina nama anakutuba erishata duba eriti da bahana manakatuba eritina ma an utukopata patatati tino wara shaptukupatata. Okay, another big breath in and out. Allow that to anchor. And remember, if you're having these symptoms, they're not that there's something wrong. It's just that something's reorganizing, okay? And that means it doesn't have the full structure that it needs in place. So try not to be overwhelmed. Find your water, drink it, drop into coherence, and start sending that energy down the legs and down into the earth. So those are the top 10 that I have kind of put together from all of the clients that I've been working with, all of the aches and pains that people have been talking about, and even the things that people are typing into the chat on Monday nights. So thank you guys so much, and I hope that you feel better.
Wow. Is everybody even back yet? So there were a lot of comments
Okay.
in the chat. Ear pain on the right side the last 2 days.
Hold on just a minute. Let me hit that. Darabata mari ena lubatu bari ishina lahana bara kumari ete de baina no kopata kopata tili shina pata kadadira rasha de bahamane kudu bahari rishina namana kubata de mali ena tedadari waishana pata du bahini yeshana kataria. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully, honey, that will start to subside. I think I worked on that last night if I recognize that frequency.
Let's see, who was that? Maybe that is somebody that you've worked with.
Seems like I worked on somebody's ear last night and the frequency was the same, so I think it was. So thanks
Kathy.
for coming tonight. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So I want to thank everyone for coming and joining us for Cosmic Conversations here on Conscious Awakening Network. And as usually, I hope something shared today by Sheila resonated with your body, cleared some triggers and blocks that you may have. I hope that it resonated with your heart, your inner knowing, and not just as information, but also as remembrances. And if you'd like to continue your journey with CAN, I invite you to explore our upcoming summits. We've got some free webinars coming up and some transformational programming that we've created to support your awakening and embodiment. Our next free summit is on otherworldly experiences, and that's on May the 2nd. You can register for that on consciousawakeningnetwork.org. And if you feel called to deepen your connection through what Sheila has offered, please go to sheilaseppi.com. Check out her Monday night transmissions and her courses. Our next Tuesday guest is going to be Teresa Warren Staff. I'm Patricia Walls, and this has been Cosmic Conversations. So on behalf of Conscious Awakening Network, our beautiful community, and our founder and today's guest, thank you for being here. And thank you for doing your part in expanding consciousness on the planet. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.